Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another Incursio the Gamer Dungeons & Dragons quick build. Today we have with us Yield My Flesh to Claim Their Bones, also known as Blade Lineage Mentor Meursault. Now, of course, we must go over the Limbus ID. He is an ID of Meursault, of course, and has above average stats across the board, as well as a extremely powerful skill 1, an extremely powerful skill 2, and a super weak skill 3 that turns into the best counter in the game, which just hits like a truck against a small baby. That's pretty much what it is. Let's check him out. He is a poise unit that applies a little bit of bleed and paralyze as well as gains aggro. Additionally, he has a little bit of slash power up, and he is the first of his kind to buff allies from the same faction. He is just a great unit overall. He paved the way so that way, say the Mao branches could, thrive. So that way the Blood Fiends could be super overpowered. He's the first of the kind, and just like the first of the kind for, the one who shall grip Sinclair, he was certainly a test subject. Now let's get into the D&D build. Alright, he is going to be a male, variant human, fighter 3 as your starting class, rogue 3 as your subclass. You're going to want to take champion and swashbuckler, level 6. Stats across the board, they're going to be 18 strength for hitting hard, 14 dex, 14 con, 11 intelligence, and 12 wisdom. You can interchange these. You can also just make them higher or lower, however you want for roleplay, and charisma 16 for that swashbuckler. You'll see why. 49 health pool, 16 AC, 30 walking speed, 5 initiative. Let's get into the saving throws. Proficiency for strength and con as a fighter. Additionally, 14, 10, 17 for your passive senses, respectively. Here are your proficiencies. Let's get into the skills. History, insight, perception. These are things a mentor would probably be proficient and be experts in. Religion comes with, of course, the background, but here is a very Meursault core, skill set. He does what he does well, pretty much. Let's get into our actions now. Now, longsword, short sword, that is of course going to be katana and wakizashi. I'm pretty sure Blade Lineage Meursault doesn't have a wakizashi. However, I added it on just for flavor as, blades, katanas. I like them. He's probably going to have one sooner or later somehow, whatnot, in maybe his story. You get the point. Anyways, we also have dash, disengage, dodge, grapple, shove. You also have the sap and vex for, being proficient and having mastery in this weapon. Moving on to bonus actions. To weapon fighting, you're going to use your katana and wakizashi if you want. Also, you can use cunning action to dash, disengage, or hide. Of course, you don't also need that. Second wind gives you, a little bit of HP back, but Blade Lineage Meursault is the kind of guy to take away his HP. But I suppose you could flavor Second Wind as Swordplay of the Homeland, which you don't die for a turn. When you go down to 0, you just go back up to 1 for a turn in Limbus. Additionally, Steady Aim is what you're really here for. You give yourself advantage on your next attack roll on the current turn, provided you haven't moved yet. He doesn't really need to move. He'll just slash the crap out of his enemies. Reactions. Opportunity attack. Unfortunately, we do not have the Yield My Flesh to Claim Their Bones counter. However, after getting hit once in the combat, maybe just hit back really hard. Of the others, you of course have Sneak Attack and Action Surge. Slasher critical hit and reduce speed, of course, as well. These things come from the Slasher feat you'll see later. Now, limited use, you've pretty much seen everything except for the spells. Bless, we'll talk about the spells, which is right now. Speaking of spells, you're going to have Guidance from Magic Innate, Cleric. That's going to be your background. Now, Bless, you can add 1d4 to any ability check for another creature, or just yourself, pretty much any willing creature. This I'm going to be flavoring as the buffing of other allies. Now, sure, it isn't poise, it isn't granting your allies other abilities for critical hits, hitting harder, etc., etc., etc. It is also just helping your allies in general. Additionally, Bless can help that. Bless up to 3 creatures within a range, and whenever they make an attack or saving throw, they add 1d4 to the attack roll or save. That is more flavored to the poise, however, you can only do it once. Now, of course, you do need Pride Resonance while in, Limbus to help all your allies, but I can just say you'll just do this during like the first turn, second turn, something like that. It is an action spell, unfortunately, so it is what it is. Lastly, of course, you have Thaumaturgy. The Altered Eyes I kind of liked. Additionally, Phantom Sound sounds great, and Booming Voice. Now, you don't really need Fireplay or Invisible Hand, but this is just some flavor stuff that you can add to your character. When Blade Lineage Meursault claims their bones in, say, a one-shot or a campaign. be as you will. Inventory, you're of course going to have, your book, calligrapher's supplies, all these things that, a mentor would have to help their students. Parchments, robes, etc., etc. Your long sword is your katana, your short sword is your wakizashi, sorry. And chainmail is just armor. You kind of do want armor in general, as, his defense is not bad. It's above average for, a 3-star identity with nothing bad about him except for a skill 3 that requires you take a little bit of damage to hit the enemy for a couple thousand damage. I'd say that's, a really good payoff. And there's not bad things about him, But I'm ranting, I'm glazing, let me go over the class features. You have fighter first. Insight and history is what I took. Dueling is what you want. You want that +2 bonus when you hit. Additionally, second wind you get, and action surge you get. Take champion for that improved critical, 1920. Basically, it is very straightforward, as Meursault is not exactly straightforward. However, he is a poise identity, hitting really hard a lot. You basically, instead of having a 5% chance, a 10% chance to deal extra damage. Now, of course, you could also take Elven Accuracy, but Elven Accuracy does not affect the short sword and long sword. So, if you want to go a bow build for Blade Lineage Meursault, that would be more like Bow Lineage Meursault. You do as you will. Now, of course, for Rogue, no choice made for their traits, of course, but expertise you gain insight and history. Additionally, you gain sneak attack, which does a little bit of extra damage, which you like, because you're going to be hitting hard. Thieves can't, of course, common sign language, didn't know what else to take. Weapon mastery, longsword, short sword, that's all you need. Cunning action, swashbuckler subclass for steady aim, and rakish audacity, which +3 to initiative rolls. You just go first. That's how you get that +5, really. And it is really, really wonderful. Now, of course, the faster you go, the better, but then again, you don't really need that charisma, because Meursault isn't the fastest unit. He can, of course, go first sometimes, but that's dependent on how much haste you give him from other allies. But moving past that fact, species traits. You have deep speech, which I flavored as, as of course Bamboo had to Kim, he kind of, if you guys play the story, skills, perception, and feat slasher. Slasher is good because you deal a little bit of extra damage when you slash on a critical hit, meaning a critical hit is going to deal more damage. You deal an extra bit of, I believe, speed reducing, and you deal a little bit of disadvantage on them, right? Yeah. So disadvantage and speed reduction, and you just hit hard. Additionally, so for your background, you're going to take Magic Innate Cleric. 2 cantrips, of course, Guidance Thaumaturgy, and Spell Bless. Lovely stuff. Slasher, of course, there. And now for the background. Now, Meursault is the kind of guy to be lawful neutral in, I say, most of his IDs, and also just him in general. Just like the Capo Thumb video, he's a male with black eyes, a medium build about 6'2", weighing about 155 pounds or so, give or take, plus or minus, whatnot. He's about 27, with white skin, black hair, and this ID is of the Blade lineage. Now, of course, there are I think 6 Blade lineage IDs, maybe 7, I'm not sure. But, yeah, that is pretty much it for Yield My Flesh to Claim Their Bones. You add whatever you want for personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, appearance, notes, and extras. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it for Blade Lineage Meursault. Thank you guys so much for watching, and since we have a little bit of extra time in this video, I just want to take this time to say thank you all so much for watching these videos. It means the world. And please, in the comments down below, leave any suggestions. I'm taking any and all suggestions and jotting them down in a Google Docs right now. I have so many builds to make. And honestly, I look forward to making all of them, even the one from Toho. Let's see, yeah. I'm getting Twin Hook's Gregor right now. He's in the works. I have a couple of Umas from Uma Musume, which is, a little silly, but you know what? I'll do it. I'll do anything at this point, really, because I don't really have school like people right now. Yeah, I don't have those limiting school hours at the moment because I'm going to college, baby. I'm gonna be out of here. But don't worry, I'll still upload videos. And Tree Rock Gaming, worry not, Monopoly is coming soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Leave comments down below what you want to see in the future. And please, feel free to share my videos. I love the audience. Alright, goodbye and good night. See you in the next one.